Picture this now. Picture this. You have a life partner. You've loved this person for years. Basically, grew up in front of you. You guys have memories, things that you shared together. You guys have cried together. You've laughed together, and then they pass away. Obviously, there's that grief. You feel sad. You kind of feel like there were so many things left unsaid. There were so many experiences left. There was still like enough in the tank, right? And you just felt like you need that closure. Would you go dig up their freaking remains, bro? No, and that's kind of how I feel about posthumous albums, which is what we're going to be talking about today. That's what's been on my mind lately. These posthumous albums. Posthumous album, if you don't know, is an album that is released after an artist passed away, right? Sometimes it's just a compilation album. Sometimes it's an album that was already in the works. But yeah, that's what a posthumous album is. Simply put, you know. And they're always kind of portrayed in a way that's like, these releases they're packaged in a way that's like it's a beautiful gift, the final gift from the artist, like one last message from beyond the grave. Like it was, it was always meant to happen exactly that way. And to be honest, sometimes it does feel like that, but also I think sometimes it feels a bit uncomfortable. It feels weird. Like, bro, let the people die. Like, are we honoring the artists themselves, or are we just like trying to feed our pockets, or trying to fatten our pockets now, trying to keep the machine running, because the machine, it never sleeps. And obviously the first place in my mind goes is um Mac Miller, because I was listening to one of his albums. I was listening to Circles just this week, and it kind of had me thinking, when Mac passed away, that one kind of hurt a lot. A lot of people felt sad. A lot of people grieved it. You know, you could feel it across the music space, artists, his peers, even fans, especially the fans, right? When he passed away, like everyone felt sad about that. And when Circles came out, I can't even lie, bro. That is one of the few posthumous albums that I actually felt. Right, I felt that one. Like I really liked it, and I think the reason is pretty clear. Circles was like, it was basically already there. I think, at least that's what they say. That's what his estate said, as far as I can remember. And the vision was basically like, it was already like forming. So the sound was there. It was cohesive. John Brion didn't just come in and just Frankenstein something together with random hard drives. It felt like he was just like dotting some I's, scratching some T's, that Mac had already like started writing or whatever. And you can hear it in the music. It's cohesive. It feels like almost like a continuation of what he was doing with Swimming, the album that he released previously. And you know what, Circles, it sounds proper. The emotions land properly. Nothing feels like it was just assembled in a boardroom and then just like put together and just like put out so that they can make as much money as they can get. At least that's not what it felt like. Of course, that is the exception, because you can start looking across the industry, and to say the very least, it gets a bit shaky. You look at artists like XXXTENTACION, Pop Smoke, Lil Peep, and I'm not saying that every posthumous release from them was bad musically. There were some nice songs, probably. I didn't listen to the Lil Peep stuff. It just felt out of taste. It just felt tasteless, in my opinion. But that's not the point. I think the point is that the energy, it's gonna feel different because the artist isn't behind it. Sometimes you can literally hear when an album was, carefully completed, like they took their time and they handled it with care, and then like when something was just put out of the vault, because let's be honest, bro, capitalism is undefeated. Its stomach is a bottomless pit of greed. So yeah, it's just undefeated in that way. People need to make their money. People need to you know fill quotas or whatever. And I mean that shit seriously, bro. Like, the music industry itself is not built up to stop when an artist dies. if anything, sometimes the numbers spike. Like with XXXTENTACION, his popularity skyrocketed when he died, right? Streams went up, interest went up, the brand of XXXTentacion became more valuable, you know? It's kind of uncomfortable. It's the uncomfortable part that I don't think a lot of people like to talk about it or dwell on, you know. But death does not stop the business. We're just constantly digging up remains, and you know, it's if anything, sometimes it accelerates it. Now, okay, okay. Let me be fair here. I want to be balanced. Try to be balanced. We also have to think about, you know, the families, because obviously, of course, when an artist dies or passes away, then jeez Louise, there are like a lot of people left behind: parents, children, partners, estates, and everything. You know, so yeah, financially, they have the potential to help or support these people, right? And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I fully understand how all of this shit works. I don't know. I didn't research before I started speaking, bro. But I don't know how this behind the scenes shit works. I'll just be honest about that part. But I feel like it depends heavily on how the music was handled, because I think there's a difference between, you know, just finishing what the artist had already intended and then like endlessly mining demos. You're mining demos now, you're trying to scramble and find songs that weren't even finished, and you're just doing that until the discography just starts looking fucked up, and it just looks nothing like it just looks unrecognizable, you know. And fans can feel the difference. Me as a fan, I can feel the difference, you know. Even I can't fully explain it really. Like, you know, with Circles, the reception was emotional, but also it was generally like positive. It felt like closure. It felt respectful. I think it felt complete. But you know, with some other posthumous drops, bro, you can kind of feel like a bit of hesitation. You know, like you can feel yourself quietly wondering, like, what am I listening to? You know, would they have actually put this out? Would they have like given the stamp of approval and said, okay, no, I love this, put it out, my people will love this, put it out, I'm happy? I think that question is very important one, because it makes me think about this one song by Jeff Buckley. So when Jeff Buckley passed away, he had already released Grace, that album, beautiful, stunning album. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out. But he had already released Grace, but then after he passed away, I think there was a deluxe version released, and it had this song called Forget Her. And when I tell you, perfection, auditory perfection, was so beautiful, right? It's an amazing song, but he apparently never liked that song. He never wanted that song to be released because he felt like it was too harsh or something. But damn, selfishly, like I'm happy that song got released, because I think if he was alive, we wouldn't have heard it. I don't know if that makes me sound like a piece of shit, like I'm no better than all these corporate shit, these people that are, you know, that I'm shitting on today. But like, yeah, it just made me think, right? Would he have actually put it out if he was still alive? Maybe he could have changed his mind and said, okay, you know what, people need to hear this. You know, I think once an artist is gone, they can't really say, you know, no, this verse wasn't finished, don't drop it. No, don't release that demo. No, this isn't the direction that I want. It doesn't feel me. You know, they don't have that control. They don't have that say so to be able to say, no, this is what I was intending, and it's not what I want, right? And I think that's where shit gets a bit, you know, morally like messy, like a lot. Now, me personally, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't still listen when something drops. Okay, I'm a human. Okay, I love music. I'm a fiend for music. If something sounds good, like I always say, I'm gonna press play. But I am a lot more like, or at least I'm trying to be a lot more like aware of like the machinery behind all of that shit, because the industry obviously, like, it will work you to the grave, and sometimes keep you like working after the grave too. Like, you can't rest. These people's souls aren't resting. They're like milking them for all they're worth. And I think that's the part that, like, I don't know, makes the conversation a bit complicated. I am, self-admitted hypocrite, right? But hey, I think because I don't think posthumous albums are automatically evil, you know. I don't think so. I think that there are good intentions. Sometimes people are well intentioned, and maybe these labels are taking advantage of that, and they're like, okay, yes, of course, but they know they're benefiting somehow, right? Just a bit of headcanon here. I don't know anything about behind the scenes shit, but they're not automatically beautiful tributes either. And I think it's just like it's split down the middle. Sometimes it does give people closure, but now if you keep doing it, it's gonna damn, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's gonna taint the previous work. The more you release, the more it taints the feeling of closure from the previous one. The more it takes away from the previous release. At least that's how it feels for me. Yes, you are preserving something that he created. Sometimes, most times, actually not even most times, all the time, it's just business. Straight up, it's just business. And I think Circles, for me at the time, set the bar extremely high for what this whole process should look like. If there was a clear artistic direction, if you did everything respectfully, if it wasn't, I don't know, if you're finishing the story that the artist was already telling, then I'll be okay with it. Then I'll be like, okay, you know what? Yes, beautiful. But now anything beyond that, bunch of compilations of demos and stuff like that, it's just nah, bro. It's just I can't get jiggy with that at all. I can't. I think now when it gets to that point, I'm gonna start raising an eyebrow because what are we doing? What are we doing? At some point we need to ask, or like, are we celebrating this artist? Like, are we really paying tribute, or are we just like, are we fucking trying to make sure the category just, the catalog or whatever just keeps, generating revenue? Or are we just trying to make money and just fucking milk them for everything that they have? And like, how is that gonna impact the legacy of that artist? Some people choose not to listen to posthumous albums, and I don't blame them. But me personally, I don't think, again, there's no one answer, but maybe it's like a question worth asking. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any like favorite posthumous albums, or what are your thoughts on posthumous albums as a whole? But yeah, it's been fun yapping with you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.
Marking milestones on Twitter. The DLC have adopted a new strategy to soften their image and spread their love of legend. It's called Sudden Acts of Grinding. They'll give impromptu skate takes to local brawls trying to get their grind style